Hey, I've had a long day cleaning up the yard and doing yard work and that sort of thing, running around getting stuff together for projects, but since it's been a couple of days since I've been home and I haven't done anything with the Petoskey stones, I wanted to take care of those and show you kind of the basics of how to clean them up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have my trusty Dremel and just an inexpensive work light. And this is something that Charlie had. It's a portable ventilator. I have some water, also a grinder buffer. And these are the Petoskey stones. You can see they're pretty unremarkable. I wanted to grab one of the ones that I found in the river and just give you an idea of how it goes from start to finish. Let's see. I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that I picked up when I was videoing. So let's just say that this is. You remember in the water, it was a little more evident. So there you go. So when you're looking for Petoskey stones, if you're looking along the bank, you'll probably want to take something to splash water on the stones to see whether or not the coral reveals itself. Okay, what I do is I use a Dremel with, and I guess I should have done this beforehand. All right, I'm going to pause it. What I'm going to do is put a 60 grit little sandpaper disc onto the Dremel with the attachment. Hi, I'm back. I put the 60 grit on. Obviously I put safety glasses on. These are some that Charlie got from, I don't know, somewhere. And they actually have bifocals. I don't know if you can see them. So it makes this detailed work, especially for those of us who are closer to 50 than they choose to be. It makes it a little bit easier to do. But I'm just going to prop this up here. And hopefully this will work out. I'm going to turn this on. It's going to get a little bit loud. I generally have earplugs on. I don't know, I'll probably stop and put them on. Petoskey stone, you have to kind of keep it wet. Because coral is very fragile, and the friction from the sandpaper can make it fracture, which is why I use the water. Now, when I'm doing this, I like to get an idea as I look at the shape of the stone of what I'm going to do with it in the future. You know, I don't know if I would put this into, like, wire it into a necklace or just use it as a stone to sit around. You know, it lays pretty nicely. Maybe I would just use it as a decorative stone. So when I'm cleaning it up, I'm paying attention to whether or not I want to take the edges off. Like, you know, if this is ugly, I'd break out a grinder and grind this down some. But you can see how the more you grind with the 60 grit and it takes off the top layer. I don't know if you can see the pits. See this little pit here? I don't know if you can see that on the camera. This little pit here, that sort of thing is what I like to take out. Because when you polish the stone, that tends to catch the rouge or whatever you polish it with, which does not work out well because of these spots on the face of the stone. It takes away from the overall look. Anyway, this is the basics. If you just use the Dremel, you do exactly what I'm doing. Use the sanding disc, step your and sandpaper down from a 60, go from a 60 to a 120 to a 240, and then some fine grit, probably 600, and wet sand it. And then after that, I generally use a little bit of white, I forget what it's called, but it's for polishing jewelry and that sort of thing. But I use the white because the red tends to get stuck and discolor the stone, and especially when you're talking about coral, you know, when this starts discoloring and becoming red, it takes away from the overall look. So this is all you do, and like I said, after I hit it with 60, then 120, then 240, and hand sand it, wet sand it with 600, then I'll hit it with the buffing wheel with a little bit of the white polishing compound and buff it out, and you get a really nice finished piece that you can either make something functional from if it's large enough. Like this would be large enough if you wanted to make a door pull, or use it as a piece of jewelry, or in a belt buckle, or I don't know. Just let your imagination be your guide. I've also done business card holders. I don't know, a little bit of everything. I try to let the shape of the stone dictate what I do with it. I think the most outlandish thing that I've done is one sort of looked like a foot to me, so I carved toenails into it, and I actually gave that to my niece Vanessa because she is a stone collector as well, and she loves rocks as much as I do. Go figure, it must run in the genes. But that's about all I have, and I'm going to continue working on this, and then I will pause it, and after I step it down, well, first let me say this, the back. Now this one, a lot of stones, what you'll see is you'll see a coral face, you'll see the shoots from whatever the coral was eating, and then you flip it over, and a lot of times you'll get like a mud sediment, because that's where the coral was based, and whenever it breaks off and becomes these stones as they tumble through the river, you know, you get whatever was underneath. This was probably like a middle piece, because you see the coral on both sides. So this probably broke off of a larger piece, as opposed to being one that was attached to the bottom. And these are nice if you want to do something that floats like a necklace, something that would flip over, because then you can finish both sides, and you can see how nicely that coral's starting to show. So that's that. I'm going to keep working on it, and I'll post what it looks like afterward. But I hope that inspired you. Let me turn this off. Okay. I hope that gave you a little bit of inspiration to maybe go up north and pick up some Petoskey stones and, you know, play with them a little bit and clean them up with your Dremel and make it into something cool. Okay, I hit this with 60, 120, 240, and then I hit it with the buffing wheel, and you can see my buffing wheel, whenever I changed it, the wheel was too close to the guard, and it actually took off some of the patina and made my stone kind of gunky. So you see with the coral, those indentations, they picked up the gunk. So I'm going to have to probably sand it back down again and not start all over, but you know, the face of it looks okay. But that's start to finish what you do. Again, 60, 120, 240. I skipped the wet sanding because it's late. And then I went right to the buffing wheel with the polishing compound. Just make sure whatever you do, you wear safety glasses. Keep the stone wet, periodically so that it doesn't fracture. And have fun. Take care.